Welcome to another weekly Forexcast. All right, covering some potential setups that we have here for the week, starting with the US dollar index. All right, so if we look at the dollar index, we see always looking left to go right. And looking at the weekly chart here, you see price pull down to this strong demand zone where you had nice buyers to the upside, a lot of liquidity for buys at this level. So we see these on the weekly chart, we had a lot of pin rejections, a few pin rejections at this level, showing strong rejection from that level. So as I began to see that, I was confident that price was going to continue to hold this bullish pressure before we see any more bearish sales to the downside, because price is still in the downtrend, but overall, we got that nice hold. So if you look at this on a daily, this was NFP. At the price came down, right? Found support, pumped up. With NFP, we had a correction. And this last trading week, we saw that continue, giving us a bullish wave like that to end the week. All right. So overall, we still can get more bulls here on the dollar. All right, possibly. So on any pullback, it could be a correction to possibly give us another wave up. All right, because looking at this on the weekly chart, we could see this make a possible deeper move to the upside. All right, if this really holds firm, we could see possibly come way back up to around 91.5 area. All right. So looking at that, if we see, let's say gold. All right, so looking at gold, if we see this here let's look at the daily chart actually. If we look at this on the daily chart, you can see price has been in this uptrend from the daily chart, starting at this demand level. If we look to the left, price had nice demand before you had to move up, making all-time highs on gold. All right. So when price came right back into this level, we actually formed a double bottom right here, pumped up, and price just continued up, right? Retesting structure levels for support, just continued up, retest, continue up. So started a upward trend here on the daily. All right. Now, after price broke above this structure, my buyers started to say, maybe we could come down and see some type of retest and go higher before any type of continued sell-off. But with the dollar finding some support, we see how price came and gave us this strong bearish engulfing close here on the daily. All right. And then it corrected that here. And then last week, we ended with a nice sell-off again. So this is a level that I will watch on gold, see if you want to get a breaker structure or not. Because what price did, we found the top right here. It's somewhat of a head and shoulders pattern. All right. And then what price did, it broke down. This was a correction of that. And then we had to move back down. All right. Pulled back again and then moved down again. So it's a bit choppy, but it's still showing signs of potential sell. So if price want to hold structure here, and let's say we get a break of structure, then on some type of pullback or retest, I would expect continued sales. All right. But if price finds support here, all right, with this daily trend line I have drawn up, let's say we find support forming a higher low, that we could possibly break and continue to the upside. So with me, I will be looking for a move of respect in either direction. All right, whether we hold here, hold support, all right, and we come up here and break this level, then on the break at that level, you could probably look for a pullback, maybe a retest for continuation higher. All right, but if price was to come up here and reject, give a bearish type of rejection, it could be another sell-off. Either that, or if price continues and breaks structure, breaking higher low structure, then on the pullbacks, we could look for potential continuation down. All right. That's gold. EURUSD. EURUSD gave us the continued sell-off last week. I called this out in the VIP Discord. All right, because we can see if we looking at this on the daily chart on EURUSD, EU and gold tend to move in line with each other, but they also depends on what the dollar is doing. All right, so we see price made it back to this top where we had a sell-off, nice supply area. On the daily chart right here, you see price gave us this bearish engulfing rejection, showing signs of price holding that same level of supply, pulled down, gave us another correction up. All right, on this correction up, we got a shooting star rejection right there. On that rejection, price formed a lower high, continued down to the downside, breaking out. All right, then after that, we got another correction up. So after I saw this breakout on the daily, I was leaning towards more downside potentially. All right. So on this correction, I was looking for my sales. So you see, if you're just looking at this from a daily perspective, price came up right here. Let's get rid of this trend line so you can see clearly. And right here, printed a shooting star rejection on the daily. All right, so that was just a pullback, nice rejection, and then boom, we had to continue sell off. All right, so going into this week, I'm still looking for potential sales. You know, if you're in VIP, if you're holding this trade, I mean, you can even move your stop loss into break even, probably up about 60, 70 pips, or, you know, you could take some profit and then see if we can get a pullback and continue it from there. But this is what we can possibly see on EU. All right, because we got the breakdown right here, breaking structure. This was our pullback. All right, so we had a shooting star on the daily. We also got this shooting star on a 4-hour chart. All right, that was actually making a double top right here, retesting that. And then we had that pull down, that breakdown. All right, so now we could see something similar. All right, you got impulse, correction, impulse. All right, similar to how we had a breakdown, got that lower high, had a breakdown, had a slight pullback, corrective wave, then had a continuation. So we can possibly get something similar here. All right, we could get something similar. Okay, I still expect for price to stay below this lower high. All right, but if price, you know, maybe gives us some type of correction up, you know, retesting around here, around this structure, lower high, then we can look for those potential continuations down. All right, my next target structure would be around this structure support, anywhere from like 1.206 to 1.205. All right, possibly even lower down. This could possibly come even lower down, all the way down to structure around 1.20 support structure, psychological level. All right, so that's what I'm looking for on EU. Is that so? That's the more recent moves. I mean, overall, if we look at this on like a weekly perspective, or you know, even a monthly perspective, you know, EU could be setting up for a bigger move up. All right, but before that happens, because even if we look at the monthly, where price found, you know, support right here, bounced up, correction, higher low, continue move up. All right, so this could be just bigger correction before we get any more moves to the upside. But, you know, I'm more of a day trader, intraday, you know, intraday swing. So this is what I'm looking for. Correction, continuation. All right, so EJ is something similar, setting up with nice short opportunities. If we look at this on, let's say, the weekly chart, we can see that EJ is in a major supply level. Okay. So if we look at this, these were the tops of our supply in the past, looking left to go right. All right, so when you get around these structure levels, you identify in price action. Okay, so if we look at this, we just get a more of a basis of how this is looking. So on the weekly chart, what price did is price slightly closed above this supply level. All right, right here with this candle, it closed above. So that could be a sign, oh, maybe we'll come back and retest and continue to go higher, because we've been in the uptrend for a minute on this weekly chart, all the way down from this low around 115. We've been in that uptrend all the way up to where we at now. All right, so we could be due for some type of bigger correction. All right, but since it was still an uptrend, I was like, before I look for any sales, I need to see structure play out or break. So if we look at this on the daily chart, price corrected. Clear some of this up real quick so we can see clearly what I'm looking at. What price did, had a top here at this higher high, pulled down. This could have possibly been a retest to go higher, continue that trend. All right, so when I got in this area, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to jump the gun and just say, oh, we're too high, so let me just look for sales automatically. What I needed to see was a breaker structure. So let's look at this on the 4-hour chart. So you see right here, this is like the head and shoulders right here. Head, left shoulder, right shoulder. So now that I'm looking at structure here, I had to see this structure broke before I continue my bias for the sales. All right, so seeing that type of structure break just gives me stronger confluence and confidence that, hey, it looks like we're going to continue for that sell. Also, if I take that trend line here, see we got a break of that, breaking structure. So this is key because this is breaking higher low structure. That could be a sign of a reversal. all right, within that uptrend. And also we got a head and shoulders, and price broke the neckline. So this support right here would be considered the neckline of this head and shoulders. All right, so now I believe we found a potential top to look for continued reversals to the downside. Because also, if you look at what price did, now what price basically did, sometimes you can put on the line chart to see, you can see where price is respecting. All right, and you can draw a zone around that. What price did is basically come and retest that. The line charts usually just is more so the body. It doesn't really factor in the wick. But once I draw that in and I put it back to the candlesticks, you'll see, boom, it's a part of price. So what price did is it came up, retested that structural support, and rejected for continuation down. All right. And we broke this structure and the structure to the left, which is the higher low and neckline, forming a lower low. So now what I want to look for is I want to look for some type of correction, a retest. So either a retest around here or some type of, correction up, and then look for price to continue to the downside. All right. So on this setup, I usually don't trade Sundays, but looking at the daily chart, we got a nice shooting star rejection. All right. Also, when price pulled up here and rejected, it formed a nice bearish engulfing candle right here on the daily, showing signs of sellers being in control. And then boom, we kept pushing down. All right. So overall, we might get some corrections going into Monday, but overall on these pullbacks, I would expect price to continue down, towards 132 or lower. All right. Because looking at the daily, I also have a daily trend line here. So if price continues down, breaks here, then we can go even lower, down here. All right. So nice sell setups coming on EURJPY. So GBPUSD, GU has been ranging for a minute. If you look at this on a monthly, we've been in this uptrend from those lows. All right, but now we're back at this major level of supply. It's a breaker bounce level. Strong past monthly pattern is pretty strong, bullish. So for me to look for any sales here, unless I'm just scalping or anything like that, like maybe these ranges up here and stuff like that. But for the most part, I want to see, this is still a ranging market right here. I want to see structure break in either direction. So if price comes down here, because it pulled up, gave a few sell opportunities, but it just keep bouncing and ranging. But if price breaks this range completely, then we can look for a potential retest and just continuation down. All right, it's as simple as that. Same thing in the other direction. If we was to get a break up, I would like to see a pullback, maybe a retest, and then continue that up to the upside. GJ has been pretty back and forth for a minute. If we look at this, similar to EJ, we're at a big level of supply. If you look at this on a weekly, always looking left to go right, we see a major level of sellers up here. All right. So with that, we want to see how price is reacting. Right now, price is starting to react and reject from these levels. If we look at this like on the 4-hour, price broke down, pulled back, continued down. Then it's been choppy price action right here. All right. So with this, it's a bit 50-50 for me. You know what I mean? Because this could potentially be just a pullback for one more move up before continuing. All right. But this also can very much, how price respected here and pulled back. But then they had another impulsive candle here on the 4-hour and then rejected. So GJ just real 50-50 for me. I need to see more, see how it's looking maybe going into midweek, Tuesday or something like that. Because from a daily perspective, price would need to come down and actually break this higher low structure for me to really see for bigger moves to the downside. All right, because then we could catch those corrections or retest for bigger moves down. But right now it's just a lot of choppy price action. So it's not high on my radar. I will be watching it to see any potential setups, but right now it's a bit 50-50 because this could be an inverted head and shoulders possibly on the 4-hour. And if that's the case, we can see this give us a move up before continuing. All right, so I'm a bit 50-50 on GJ. I think we have, some better setups with like EU, EJ, other than, looking at GJ right now. Also, USDCAD is another one. So if we look at USDCAD, USDCAD has been ranging for a minute, similar to GU. But if we look at this, let's say on the weekly chart, price has been at this demand level. It's ranging around this level of demand. Now it's a lot of liquidity, so you see it slightly broke and pierced below that low. And then we see here this weekly candle closed, nice, strong, bullish. This looks a bit like a morning star type reversal on the weekly. So I believe this is setting up for big buys to the upside. All right. If we also finding support now, if we also look at the daily close bullish engulfing, closing a bit above this range. I have this this rectangular range box to see where we get our break at, and this bullish engulfing slightly closed above the range. All right, so any pullbacks, if they give you any pullbacks on UCAD, I would say look for your buys, because this can be a big swing to the upside. All right, so something like this, if price was correct a bit, pullback, I would say on a pullback, look for your potential continuation buys up. All right, or if it continues to just pull up, all right, just let it go. But then, look for those buys on those pullback opportunities. All right, but overall, the bigger move is to the upside. So be on the lookout for that. GA was real choppy last week. I was leaning towards buys to the upside with this range. Let's see real quick. Okay, so the weekly code closed, like a doji / like a pin bar rejection at that level. If we look at the daily also closed with a nice rejection, finding support. All right, so for me, it's still showing signs of bullish pressure in a way. If we look at this on the daily, price has been pretty much for the most part, price has been ranging up. All right, and then we have this channel right here. The price is just, within this channel. So last week, we slightly broke below the previous low, higher low within that channel. But then you see price pumped right back above that level, finding support. So it's looking like this could have been a false breakout. All right. And with that, we could, see this continue to the upside of this channel. All right. If that happens, we could see this possibly head anywhere between 1.84 resistance or 1.85. All right. We can see that give us one more wave up before any reversal, because looking at this, once it heads to like 1.85, if it does that, still at a major level of supply or resistance. So we could see one more wave up before price, give us another reversal. All right. So be on the lookout for that. Have to see, if this pulls back, could be an opportunity to keep going, or if this just continues up, some type of pullback or retest can give you another opportunity for the buy to the upside there. And last, end with CADJPY. So this is inverse of USDCAD right now. USDCAD, it looks like some CAD weaknesses coming in. Here on CADJPY, just like a lot of the pairs, we're at a major level of supply. So supply and demand is important to pay attention to. So looking to the left, this is a major level of sellers. All right. So we see so far price is actually respecting it and rejecting from this level. All right. So if we go down to the daily chart, I actually went over this. If it wasn't the last Forexcast, it might have been the last session that I did with the paid members, because seeing this price made a top, nice bearish evening star reversal, and then sold off. All right. But you see after that, price pulled back for an opportunity, broke down. This was the retest, pullback opportunity. And you see here on the daily, on the pullback, it printed like this shooting star, or you can look at it as like tweezer tops, but this is like a shooting star rejection and then continue down. All right. So that's what you look for. So if you look at this on the 4-hour chart, this was the breakdown. On this pullback or retest of structure, you look for your sales for continuation. All right. So now this is the peak high. This is like your lower high on the retest. So if price gives some type of correction again, you could look for sales, potential sales in that correction, to see if price gives you like some type of bearish flag. All right. If you get some type of correction, look for potential continuation sales on that correction. All right, either that or price will continue down and maybe retest previous structure low. All right, if it continues to just drop without any pullback just yet, something like this, then maybe later it will give that retest opportunity. So either or, I would say look for a continued drop and then a pullback opportunity or retest, or let price correct right here, correct, and then look to trade that continuation to the downside. All right. So those are the pairs that's on my watch list for this week. I will keep you up to date. If you're in the private group, if you're in the VIP, I will keep you guys up to date if there's any signals or anything. And if you're not, be sure to follow our free Telegram. All right. The FX Wave, where we also, not only do we drop, potential setups and analysis, we also give updates when it comes to cryptocurrency, if you're into that as well. Also check out our site, the fxwave.com, if you're looking for any, mentorship and, things in a community where you can learn and grow. All right. So I'll see you all on the next session. Thanks for watching.